All right, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Velocitron Speedia 500 collection G2 Universe Road Rocket. This the next figure that we're taking a look at in the Velocitron line, which of course is a line that is exclusive to Walmart and is generally themed around racing and the Speed Planet from Transformers Cybertron, but only just. The previous two that I took a look at, Cosmos and Override, were the only two actual new molds from the series. All the other ones are just repaints and retools of previously existing figures. And in the case of Road Rocket here, it is a retool of the Transformers Legacy Prime Universe RC. So I think it works pretty well for Road Rocket, who if you're unfamiliar, was originally from the G2 toy line and was one of the laser cycles. So their gimmick was basically it had LED functionality. There was just two of them, Road Pig and Road Rocket. And this figure obviously doesn't have any LED stuff or anything like that, but I think this is a pretty good use of this mold to do Road Rocket. And because they're using a mold that was, designed to be, Prime Universe RC, so a female character, they have also recontextualized Road Rocket as a female character as well, which, I think it works either way. I think you could say this character is male or female either way. I don't think it really matters. I think that, Road Rocket is obscure enough of a character that it doesn't really feel like that much of a departure to make a change like that to the character. And also, there hasn't really been any media of Road Rocket, and it's always just nice to have more female representation in the toy line, in my opinion. So I'm fine with Road Rocket being a female character, but if you want it to still be the male character, you can just use the other pronouns for this toy. Does not matter. It looks pretty good, I think, in this little motorcycle mode. It's got a little kickstand here that you can flip up. I didn't get the Prime RC, so this is my first exposure to this mold, but it works pretty well. You can flip up the kickstand and it rolls pretty nicely. Obviously, it's a motorcycle toy, so it's not going to roll super well on its own unless you're keeping the kickstand down, but hey, that works pretty well. It comes with a couple weapons here, which are the same clear plastic weapons that came with the RC, but I don't think that the RC version had these bits picked out in paint that kind of recontextualizes a little ninja star, because Road Rocket as a character has always been kind of described as a ninja. So you can combine those together and make it a ninja star. In terms of storage in this mode, it's not great. I mean, the way they want you to store is just pegging it into the top of the back end here, like that, which I don't think looks good. Your other only option really is to plug it into the back here, which I think looks marginally better, but still doesn't look good in my opinion. So I don't know. Personally, I'm just going to leave these off to the side and put them in a box for other figures to hold. But it comes with a weapon, so that's how that works. I guess you could also, if you wanted to, plug it together and then kind of asymmetrically plug it onto the seat up here. I don't think it would fit over here. Yeah, you can kind of get it to stay, but it kind of messes with the it doesn't actually, you can't actually put all the wheels fully on the ground. It's nothing new with weapons not storing in vehicle mode, but it's still kind of an irritation. But yeah, it's a nice little motorcycle mode. It does have a bit of wheel turning action just because this piece is just pegged in, so it has that peg rotation, so you can actually get it to go on a curve, which is pretty cool. But otherwise, pretty standard motorcycle here. In terms of size comparisons, for the standard one, here she is with Kingdom Sideswipe, who they kind of share a color scheme. Obviously, as is the case with a lot of motorcycle Transformers, that they don't scale, which is personally, I'm not a fan of the concept of mass shifting. I always want the toys to be as close to the representations of how the characters would be as they could be. So when there is a character that turns into a big motorcycle, I actually imagine that they do turn into a big motorcycle that a human couldn't feasibly ride, which is a little silly, but I don't know. It kind of works in my head, so it's fine enough for me. But obviously, if you're looking for scale, that was never really going to work with a motorcycle unless it was really, really tiny or done as a mini con. In terms of other kind of modern motorcycle Transformers, here she is with Wreck-Gar, who obviously a little bit different with Wreck-Gar because Wreck-Gar actually is supposed to turn into a giant motorcycle that other robots ride, whereas notionally Road Rocket is supposed to be in scale with other vehicles, but still, I don't know, they look good together. And then like I said, I don't have the Legacy Prime RC, and I don't have an original Transformers Prime RC to show her off next to, but I do have I think it was Thrilling 30, I want to say, Chromia figure, which is a retool of the Transformers Prime RC. So for what that's worth, that's what they look like together, I guess. But I like the motorcycle mode. One issue that I do have is it definitely does feel like once everything is pegged in place, it all feels okay. But when you're transforming it, there's not a lot of stuff that actually has tabbed places to go. The arms kind of rotate around a little bit, and then these panels tab into the arms. And what's kind of weird is if you untab the section, this does just kind of come off, and it doesn't do that really for transformation or anything like that. So I don't know, it would have been nice if they had kind of made that more of a secure connection, because it is supposed to stay there. It doesn't really fall off too often during transformation or anything, so it's not the end of the world. And obviously in this mode it's pretty stable because of how it tabs into the side, but it is a little strange that piece is so kind of easily removable, but whatever. For transformation, you do want to start off by untabbing those panels and just flipping them around like that. Obviously, we can put up the kickstand here. You want to take the back wheel here, and it'll actually split, and then it kind of unfolds around this whole body section just like this. So we can bring these pieces up. These will be the robot mode legs. Bring this section up. You want to take this little what's going to be the little crotch piece and just flip it around like that, and then you can bring down the legs here. These little armatures will actually I guess first you want to take the wheels here and fold them onto the side of the shins here, and then you can take these armatures and they fold up here, and there's a little tab right here that kind of latches over this edge here, which is not the most secure connection in the world, but I think it works pretty well. And then you just take the little toes here and unfold them from the heels. The heels are in place, so they can't move, but just unfold them like that. And there you pretty much have the legs all done. Then you want to take the back section here, untab it, bring it out to the side. It'll click into place here to become the arms. Then you want to take the waist and swivel it around and then bring it up like this. And you do want to fold it in till it actually locks in place, because otherwise it would be kind of a loose connection. There's still some bit of articulation there, but there is an actual lock that sits in. Then for the arms here, I think that these they're not really on a slider. They're really on a double hinge section here. So they kind of accordion up and down, but effectively it acts as a slider. You just want to take the little forearm guards and slide them up like that to reveal the hands. And then for this back section here, there's a couple things you can do. If you're just if you're not doing any parts forming, you can just flip this around, and then it kind of double hinges onto the back here and sits on the back just like that. And that's the base robot mode. So we'll start from there, and then I'll talk about a few options later. But yeah, there we have Road Rocket in her robot mode, and I think it works pretty well. It's nice to since this is kind of a ninja-y design, I think that the slimmer design of the Transformers Prime Legacy RC I think works pretty well for this figure. Nice new head sculpt there. Definitely has a little bit of it's obviously very much based on the original G2 Road Rocket, but definitely has a little bit of Nightbird inspiration there, I feel like. But yeah, no, it's a pretty good looking figure. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint here, so it can, obviously rotate around and get a little bit of wiggle back and forth, though not much, just due to the shape of it. The shoulders here are on swivels like that, and they can also hinge out to the side. She's got a bicep swivel, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow, nothing at the wrists. The waist, she does have a bit of rotation, and then also, the rotation only really goes, from there to there, so it's not a ton, but she also has that kind of, backwards ab crunch just from transformation, which can be nice for some poses. The hips can go forward, back, out to the side. She's got a thigh swivel, kind of internal to the thigh there. A little bit less than 90-degree bend at the knee, unfortunately. And then the feet can tilt out to the side, and then the toes themselves, the heels are locked into place, but the toes can tilt forward and up a little bit so you can kind of approximate some like, forward facing foot poses by just flattening it out a little bit more. And honestly, like, I wish that there was a bit more of like a secure spot that these sat in, or that the flat position was just kind of like the standard leg configuration. Because like as it is, if you want her to, so that her legs are actually like, standing up straight, she's kind of standing like on her toes here a little bit. Like this is her standing up straight, and then if you actually flatten out the foot here, it leans just a little bit forward, so you have to kind of like bend it at the knee to kind of like compensate for that, which makes her look like her legs are always just like a little bit bent, whereas like, if you have it more like that, she'll stand flat, but she's also kind of standing on her tiptoes, which is a little strange. So like, I'm not in love with that. I wish that, like there's kind of like it like stops here, and then you have to push it past that, so it's kind of hard to get it in between those 2 points. I think if that joint was just a little bit tighter and it didn't have that kind of like bump for the like stopper, that would make it a little bit better, because at least you can kind of get it in between. But like as it is, you're wanting to like, you just like fold up the feet so where it's flat, and you want to just press it down a little bit, and then it ends up just kind of like collapsing the feet forward, which is a little annoying. It's not the end of the world, and it doesn't really actually mess with the stability. I was like, why does that word sound so weird? Because I'm just saying it completely wrong. It doesn't mess with the stability too much. It's just a kind of an awkward thing when messing with the figure. But yeah, obviously she can hold her weapons here. You can keep it combined and have her hold the combined peg there as a like a ninja star, and that looks kind of cool. I guess it's a little weird to hold it like that, but you can do that, or you can untab these sections and then have it kind of plug onto the sides of the arms as some sort of blades here, which it looks fine, I guess. I don't know. I'm not in love with the clear weapon here. For storage, you do have these pegs on the side here that you can peg it into, and I think that works well enough, especially like it definitely shows up on the back, but A, I think it looks kind of cool, and B, there's like another sort of orientation that you can put this figure in that hides them a little bit better. But, I think that looks fine either way, but unfortunately it doesn't have vehicle mode storage, and I don't even think it's like really that great a weapon to begin with, so I'm probably gonna just put it to the side myself, but it does have that option if that's what you're looking for. Unfortunately, like I didn't talk about this with vehicle mode storage, but like these pegs are like not quite the thickness of a full peg themselves when they're in their half spot. So you can't really like peg just a half of it onto the side, even if you're like orienting it correctly with the hexagon here. Like it just doesn't really stay. So that's kind of a bummer, because I feel like that would open up some of the vehicle mode and robot mode storage a little bit if you could like peg these on like this to have it be like a little bit less apparent, but whatever. But yeah, so the other thing that she has is the back wheel here actually unpegs, and it has this little function where it unfolds here, so you can kind of have her hold it as a weapon, I guess this is supposed to be. I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, it sort of looks like a little like drone or something, or you could like peg it onto the side of her arm here, and like it's kind of a strange thing no matter what. Or you could just fold it up and have her hold a wheel if you want. But what you can do with this to kind of replicate somewhat closer the silhouette of the original Road Rocket toy is if you fold down the backpack here just a little bit, there's actually a hole back here that fits a 5mm peg, so you can peg it right below the back of her head and peg it on like that. And that looks a lot more accurate to the original Road Rocket toy. And also, I think just like makes the robot mode look generally a bit more interesting. So personally, that's how I display her. It does require a little bit of parts forming, but I kind of just like picture it like it's a little drone that she kind of detaches, and that's where it actually stores in robot mode. But I think that's a kind of cool idea, that especially like it definitely seems like, they had this retool in mind when they designed this figure to begin with, so that it could do that to kind of, again, like the original Road Rocket, the wheels were like kind of sticking out a little bit more to the side, but I think that it definitely replicates that look pretty nicely, in my opinion. For size comparisons, of course, here she is again for the standard one with Kingdom's sideswipe there. So you can see pretty average size deluxe, just about on par, maybe like a tiny bit taller than he is, but still pretty good. Here she is again with with Studio Series Wreck-Gar, just for another motorcycle Transformer. Obviously a Voyager, a lot taller there. Here she is again with the older generations Chromia, just so you can see, like, there's like 4 steps between these characters, where it was like, you know, this is the same mold as Prime RC, and then the new mold for Prime RC was remolded into her, so it's like, you know, there's like 3 stages in between there, but still, that's what they look like together. And then here she is again with the other 2 figures from the Velocitron line that we've looked at so far. Here's Cosmos and Override. And, you know, I'd say out of the 3 of them, I definitely like her the least out of the 3 of them. I only got 4 of the figures in this pack, and I'll be looking at the other one in our next review here. There's a bunch of them that I skipped just because they weren't really figures that I wanted, but definitely I think that, you know, they all look nice together, although these figures are all kind of just going different parts of my shelf in my collection. Like they're not, I don't really, you know, think that they thematically really fit that well together. It's just kind of an excuse to get some different figures. But yeah, I guess the only other thing to point out here is because she is a G2 G2 universe character here. If you look right here, she does have a little G2 Autobot logo on her collar there, which is, you know, it's kind of strange that they've been doing the G2 logos for some of the G2 universe characters, but not all of them. Like, they didn't use the G2 logo for Laser Prime, but they did use the G2 Decepticon logo for G-Axis, and then there was, like, you know, Leadfoot was G2, but because he was in the Wreck and Rule collection, they used the Wrecker logo, so it's kind of a mixed bag. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the G2 logo, so generally I'd prefer they just always be the regular Autobot and Decepticon logos, but you know, to each his own. But yeah, you know, it's a pretty nice figure overall. It definitely, like, this bit coming off is a little bit annoying, but also it's not too big a deal because it stays on there relatively well. Like, if you wanted to clean up the look of the figure, you could take that off, although obviously you are, you know, removing a part of the alt mode here, but I guess it's nice to have that as an option. Personally, I don't think it looks that bad as a backpack, as you know, some motorcycle figures go. Like, it's not as bad as that. So I'm fine with it. I think that the articulation is decent. It's a nice little homage to have a new version of Road Rocket, and definitely nice to have a new female character. Not in love with the weapon here, but whatever. At least it's you know, ninja themed, so it kind of fits with Road Rocket here a little bit. But yeah, no, not a whole lot else to say about this figure. Just kind of adequate, you know, nothing too crazy about it. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Velocitron Speedia 500 Collection G2 Universe Road Rocket.